You want a certain level of cash out of the banks, because we are not going to know 1 second before we're going to lose access to it. And frankly, the more digital it is, the more control the banks have over it. So now, perhaps if you have that cash out of the system, because there are restrictions on that, and that's another story for another day. But if you have that cash in the system, when they do the bail-in, look, banks have not loaned to each other since 2008. And that was a big part of the funding to keep everybody's wheels greased, this credit market wheels greased. So everything went on the central banks. But while in theory, remember, 1996 is when the NSA white paper on cryptocurrencies came out, and look at the index, look at the verbiage, and look at how we talk about them now. Outside of the system, they are private, they're invisible, you have them in a wallet. This is all NSA verbiage. We have adopted it. We think that it's outside of the system. But if you look at what happened in 2015, now when was Bitcoin burst onto the scene? It was either March of April of 2009. When did QE start? March 9th of 2009. Do you think that's a coincidence? 'Cause I don't.
Well, I think it was a planned type of currency that was put out there, and maybe to be an alternative to the central bank fiat system. I mean, if you can look at it.
What if the government put that out there and then used their brilliant perception management, they've got lots of practice at this, to make you think that it's outside of the system, when in reality, it is the system that they want you to adopt? Is that a possibility in your mind?
Well, it could be, but it would be very difficult because the ledgers are not just here in the United States. The people can set up these systems across the globe. So even if you take down all the systems here in the United States, you still have them in many other areas where you can still access everything that you need. So,
and what about the IMF? The members of the IMF are almost every Treasury Secretary and almost every central bank chief. And we may see conflict between the US and China and the tariffs and all of that, but those guys at the IMF, they have coordinated a global reflation, admittedly so. So you're right. And in that, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have some cryptocurrencies, because if you need to do something that is not local, then that might be, and the banks have bailed in, then you're going to have some opportunities there. So I view it more like cash, because recently, because I did a thing on it, the Bank for International Settlements did this whole report on central bank cryptocurrencies. And in it, you can see in the money flower that most of the cryptocurrencies are held within the realm of the system. There is a small area for private cryptos, but that could be gamers, that could be, many other things. The biggest area, if you look at it, that is actually outside of the system is gold money. So you can look at the flower and you can see this. I'm not saying you shouldn't have cryptos, but that is, in my opinion, with all the time that I've spent in there, that is the system that they want us to go to. And if indeed it is immutable, if it is, then they have to burn off all of this debt and all of the derivatives to transfer into that system. And I think that's what the reset is about.
Well, I think the crypto market will move forward without the central banks. There's absolutely no reason
I'm
to
sure it's moving
yeah.
forward. Yeah.
I mean, the whole, I mean, this is from what I see, the whole point of the crypto market is to get around the central banks, to get around the banking system, to not use them whatsoever, actually to show that we don't need them to handle transactions, to purchase something, because think about it. I mean, if I want to buy, if let's say Amazon or something accepts Litecoin and they want to pay their employees in cryptocurrency, they don't go to a bank anymore. There's no reason. You deposit it right in my wallet, my private wallet, offline wallet. There's no reason even to go to a bank. If you wanted to get a loan, you don't need a bank anymore. They have coins, Salt is one of them, where you can get a loan. You don't need the banking system. You don't need JP Morgan Chase. You don't need Citibank. You don't need the IMF. You don't need any of this. All of this could go away.
Okay. So let's think about that. What is the banking system but an intermediary, right? They're an intermediary. So what you're saying, and it's an accurate, no, what you're saying is that, okay, you no longer need the banking intermediary to create that transaction, but you still need a network of computers and you have all of those exchanges. So has that really gone away or is it shifting? And look at the involvement that has taken place from not just the banks, but the corporations in 2015 and 2016. I mean, look at all of the patents that they have been publishing and the central banks. So right now, that system is Wild West because just like the internet was in the 70s, et cetera, because the central banks are allowing private markets to go through all of these developments. What nobody knows at this point is what will survive. And it's not so much the cryptocurrency. That's what they want us to use because they've already gotten used to what they call dematerializing, really how you hold your wealth. They've dematerialized it in the stock market and they want to, and they've really they've been working on dematerializing money. I mean, in the 50s is when we had the first unbacked credit card that came out because the easier it is to spend money, the more money you spend. But let's say, and I am really certain that that is the future of money are these algorithms. But you made a great point in how many there are out there. Well, why do they have any value? What is their functional use other than transactions? Right? They're a transactional currency. Now, I mean, have we not seen what's going on with all of the regulations and with the cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin's supposed to be a flight to safety and I don't even know where it is right now. It's below 10,000 or something like that. I'll be looking at it, but to talk, because I'm going to be talking about this again. But I don't think it's really outside of the system. I think the system has taken over CoinDesk. I mean, who are they owned by, right? Who are these exchanges owned by? What's happening at the exchanges? That's where the fault is. So it really isn't necessarily a direct peer-to-peer transaction, but that's the function of these currencies. So basically, where money was originally and the need of money was about a way to fairly value your labor. And then if you had any excess, to store it for future use with the same level of purchasing power. That's the function of gold. And that's what gold has done for 6,000 years. Dollars, its motion was to erode the value over time through inflation and transfer that wealth to the powers that be, and that's happened. The function of, I believe that the function of these cryptocurrencies now is to get you to work for a smart contract and a mathematical formula that is designed to get you to spend your wealth. They do not want us to save. They do not want us to save. We have become from and China's going through this right now. We used to be a manufacturing economy. We made stuff, and then we could sell that stuff to the world. And then through globalization, they transitioned us into a consumer-driven economy where 70% of our economy is about consumption. Consumption, right? Now they want to convert us. They want us to stay consumer-driven. Who's going to be picking up the manufacturing? I mean, this is really an interesting transition that we're in. We're in the fourth revolution, but they want us, these cryptocurrencies that are the ones that are coming out that are designed to hold title, like AC Chain. I mean, there are some others that are coming out too that actually hold title to tangible assets. Okay. Well, now, gosh, you can spend your wealth all over the world because that's tied to a MasterCard or a Visa. Now you go to the mall and you want to shop, or you go online and you want to shop, and ooh, you really like those red boots. Well, don't worry about the equity in the house because it's broken down into itty bitty teeny pieces. It's easier to spend. And even when you think about how heavy gold and silver are to carry around in your pockets, much easier to do it in paper form. So we had gold and silver certificates, which is really what enabled the fiat money thing. Then they got us used to being everything on digital. So now we're working for an algorithm with a smart contract that you didn't write and you didn't read, and you won't know the impact until maybe you don't buy your car tags fast enough. Cars disabled, not by a human, but by a contract. So I know how they're spinning it, and I know that that's what a lot of people have grabbed onto. It's outside of the system. It is decentralized because, hey, there's computers all over the world. So a fail here means that it can still go on. But there is no way on God's green earth. I mean, I am just as certain about this as I am that my name is Lynette, that central banks are going to give up control. The banks are shifting how they intermediate those transactions, but the central banks globally will not give up that control so easily, and certainly not to a computer formula that they can legalize, put different things around, etc. That to me is really about, they've gotten all your purchasing power, according to the Federal Reserve, out of the dollar, there's 4 cents left. And now they got to go for principal. And to me, that's what that's about. I don't feel safe in it. I'm not saying I won't do it, because when that's our tool of barter, I'm going to have to use that too. But if I have a choice, I will never put any of my tangibles title, if I have a choice, onto a crypto coin that can then be used. So it's all psychology. It's all perception management. I won't do it if I have a choice.